Welcome to the Bodhi Academy. My name is Shrutika and today we will continue with the chapter Heat from Standard 7th Science. So in today's class we will learn about the heat transfer. So what is heat transfer? So heat transfer is basically the heat flows from a hot object to a cold object, or heat flows from one object to at the higher temperature to another object which is at the lower temperature. So how the heat flows? We are going to study the transfer of heat, that is from a hot object to a cold object, how the heat transfers. So for example, the flow of heat is known as the transfer of heat. So for example, if you dip a steel spoon into a cup of hot tea, then we find that the temperature of the spoon rises and it becomes hot. In this case, some of the heat contained in hot tea has been transferred to spoon which is placed inside it. For example, also when you pour hot water in a steel cup or in a glass cup, what happens? The cup also becomes hot. The handle of the cup also becomes hot. So why this is happening? Because this of the phenomena, that is transfer of heat. So when the object attain the same temperature, then the flow of the heat stops. That is when the object uh, reaches equilibrium for the heat, then the transfer of the heat stops. So this means that no heat will be transferred from one object to another if the temperature of the two objects is same. There are three ways through which the heat can be transferred from a hot object to a cold object. So by conduction, in solid heat is transferred by conduction. By convection, in liquids and gases heat is transferred by convection, and by radiation, in free space or vacuum heat is transferred through radiation. So let us discuss about the three ways of heat transfer. So the first way what we are going to study in today's video is the conduction. So the mode of transfer of heat from hotter part of the material to its colder part, or from a hot material to a cold material, is in contact with it without the movement of material as a whole, is known as conduction. So in all the solid, heat is transferred by the process of conduction. So conductors and insulators of heat. So how the heat is transferred? It is basically, there are certain solid material which acts as a conductor of the heat, and through those materials only heat gets transferred from the hotter region to the colder region. So let us see what is conductor and what are insulators of heat. So materials which allows the heat to pass or to be conducted through them easily are called as conductor of heat, and those such as metals, like all the metals are conductors of heat, such as iron, copper, silver, aluminium, etc. are good conductor of heat. Bad conductor of heat are those materials which do not allow the heat to pass through it easily. These materials are called as insulators of heat. For example, wood, plastic and glass are all insulators of heat. So also we have seen that if the handles of the pen is made up of metal, so it becomes hot when you keep it on the stove. But if we touch the handle of the pen, the handle does not feel hot. That is why as it is made up of insulators, and insulators are poor conductor of heat. So uses of good and bad conductor of heat. So during the winter season, we generally wear woolen clothes if we compare them with cotton clothes. Then we will find that the woolen fibers have much more space between them. This gets filled with air, which is a bad conductor of heat, hence being an insulator. Both wool and air together prevents the heat from our bodies from escaping out. Also, jute and sawdust are bad conductors of heat, and we cover the ice with jute cloth or sawdust to prevent it from gaining heat from the surrounding and prevent melting. The double wall of the fridge having space inside, which is filled with an insulating material, prevents the heat of the surrounding from reaching the inside of the refrigerator. The two thicker blankets, one on top of the other during the winter seasons, are very much effective because the air layer trapped between the thinner blanket creates insulation and provide protection from heat. Some of the sometimes there are two things which are at the same temperature. It seems like they are at the different temperature, one being the cold and the other being the warm. This happens because some things are a good conductor of heat while the other things are poor conductor of heat. So this was about conductors and insulators. So during winter season, a metal object kept in a room feels very cold to touch, but a wooden object in the same room feels warmer to touch. Metal objects is a good conductor of heat, so when we touch the metal object, it conducts away heat from our hands quickly, and by losing the heat, our hands feel cold. On the other side, wooden objects are being poor conductor of heat, does not allow the heat of our hand to escape, and hence feels warm to touch. Warm to touch, and the water or moist liquids and gases are bad conductors of heat. So that we will study in the next video, that is we will study convection and radiation. So in today's video what we have learnt is what is heat transfer, how heat transfer happens in the object, and what are conductors and what are insulators. And we have seen the first heat transfer way of heat transfer, that is by conduction. So thank you for watching today's video. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to the Bodhi Academy.